I'm Mike Nelson. I was off the coast of Florida on a dive in the weightless underwater world. I was enjoying being pulled along effortlessly by a strong current. I wasn't diving just for pleasure. I was trying to discover something that would impress a friend of mine, a female scientist named Sherry Bishop. I was releasing dye from a special dispenser and checking the data on a new drift meter. With them, I was determining the direction and force of an underwater river. This river was part of a newly discovered offshoot from the Gulf Stream. By comparison to that great current, it was just a quiet backwater, but it was enough to push me along like a giant hand. I was losing it. It was veering to the west. As I picked it up again, it seemed more powerful than ever. Suddenly, I realized that I had found more power than I could handle. I was picked up and knocked around. I was completely helpless. But I knew enough not to fight it. I let it take me. As soon as it slackened, I pulled out of it quickly. I was now heading into trouble that made this look like clear sailing. The minute I got topside and out of my diving gear, I made for my radio phone. Oceanography was Sherry Bishop's biggest interest, or so she said. I wanted to report my findings to her right away. I put through a call to her at her outpost station in the Caribbean.
Hello?
Hi, Sherry. Mike Nelson.
Mike, where in the world are you?
Florida. I'm working on an exploration of my own, on a new discovery in the Gulf Stream. I think I've found something very interesting.
I'm sure you have, Mike. Tell me, can you get away this week sometime?
I haven't even told you what I found yet.
I know, but can it wait until we can really talk about it? Can you get away?
Well, I suppose I can.
Wonderful. Oh, and bring some of your diving things. There's something I want to show you.
Oh, yeah, I know about you. You got a little job you want me to help you with, huh?
Well, I am temporarily without someone to dive with, and I would like a little company if you could spare the time.
Let's see. Take a plane out here in a couple of days?
Fine. I'll be tied up for the next few days anyway.
Oh, yeah? With whom?
I'm quite alone, Mike, but if you're planning on coming down, I have to get myself organized.
You're the best organized gal I know. A little kooky, maybe. Now, I'll be there Monday morning. That's 3 days from now, huh? You meet me?
Fine. Fran Parmalee will meet you in case I'm out working on something. She's my one friend on the island. Goodbye, Mike.
Okay. See you then.
Bye.
It was perfect flying weather. I was on my way to visit the prettiest scientist in the Caribbean. But some sixth sense told me that I was zeroing in on trouble. My sixth sense knew what it was talking about.
Mr. Nelson.
Miss Parmalee, huh?
Oh, Fran, you. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, this is Lieutenant Campos. Perhaps you can straighten him out so he'll do something to help us find her.
Senora, I have done what I could.
Who are you talking about? Sherry? Is she lost?
Disappeared. How, why, I don't know. Nobody does.
When?
Since 3 days, senor.
Since Thursday? But I talked to her on the phone that day.
I know. She came over to my place right after that. She wanted me to make arrangements for putting you up. Oh, she did so want you to like this island.
But when the senora came here next day, Senorita Bishop was gone.
You've no idea where, huh?
Well, I haven't. He thinks she drowned herself.
A motorboat was gone.
It could have drifted off. Maybe somebody stole it.
We searched everywhere, by launch, by plane.
Well, she couldn't have taken her boat out and wrecked it on purpose.
Perhaps you can shed some light on this unfortunate matter. When you spoke to her, did the senorita seem a little sad, depressed?
No, she was in very good frame of mind. She was working on something. Something she wanted me to help her with. You know, if we can only get a line on that...
It might tell us why she did what she did.
It might help us find her, alive.
Perhaps. I can understand how you must feel, senor, but I do not wish to encourage you. If I can be of any help to you, Senora Parmalee knows where to find me. Jose.
That depressing man.
I wonder what she was working on.
Those squiggles. You know, for the past few weeks, you've been making marks on that map. If that means anything.
Beautiful.
I beg your pardon?
This job that she's done there, it's beautiful. And now she stumbled onto it, but it'll probably wind up being named after her.
What will?
This current that she's plotted out on the chart. That's what your squiggles stand for, this current. See, that runs along the island here. Let's see. According to the scale, it's about half a mile out. Goes north about 4 miles, and then it stops. Oh, that's funny.
Well, why didn't she tell me anything about all this? It's not a military secret, is it?
Where her notebooks are.
Oh, what do you want them for?
Oh, here they are. There'd be a record of her findings on, tides and, oh, here it is. See, wind velocity. Right there. Water temperatures. Rate of drift. Tanks. You know, a diving gear. Have you any idea what she's...
Oh, yeah. But they're gone. Her wetsuit's gone.
And so's her boat. Of course, that's what she's done. She's out there tracking this current. She hadn't finished her job. She was too impatient to wait for me.
And something went wrong? She can't be lost.
Listen, a lot of people are lost at sea for a longer time than this and still survived. Just ordinary people. And Sherry isn't just ordinary people, huh? Come on, let's find that lieutenant.
Him?
Well, he's got a boat. Lieutenant Campos was skeptical and reluctant to make what he considered just one more search. But he had agreed to help. And he kept his word. Within an hour, we were heading out to sea in the police launch.
You still think it's hopeless, huh?
See, Senorita Bishop was a remarkable woman, but 3 days in the ocean.
But you were willing to come out and help us search.
If the senora will pardon me, it is my duty to recover her body if I can.
As near as I could figure it, we were half a mile out now. Unless for some reason Sherry had charted a mythical current, my dye marker should pick it up just about here. And it ran into me. A warm, insistent current that flowed north, just as Sherry's chart indicated.
I found Sherry's current.
So, what are you going to do about it?
I'm going to trace it. With your help. I'll set this float out ahead of us. Let the current carry it. And we'll follow it with your launch. Well, okay.
You will do as you wish.
Bring us up forward, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Lieutenant, get the binocs.
Okay.
Mike, is this going to work?
I don't know what else to do. Just keep looking. Either for Sherry or for a boat. The float was attached to a weight of neutral buoyancy. I had adjusted the line so the weight would hang at the depth of Sherry's current. That way we could follow it on the surface from the launch. The float moved this way and that in response to the movements of the current. We navigated by the float, making every turn with it. But our overall course remained northward, like the vectors on Sherry's chart. We saw no sign of Sherry or her boat. I was beginning to wonder if Compass had been right, that we were on a hopeless mission. Suddenly, the float seemed to stop.
The float, it has stopped. Does that mean that the current too has stopped?
Well, I don't see how it could have all of a sudden like that. Maybe if I find out what happened to the current, I'll find out what happened to her. Give me that drift meter.
Remember, Mr. Nelson, down there, we cannot help you.
I know. I followed the line down. It didn't take me long to see what had happened. The current flowed into a grotto, and through it too, I imagined. The line had snagged inside. I was careful entering the grotto, but not careful enough. The current became a furious rapids. I lost control. I didn't dare think what must have happened to Sherry. I was losing hope of ever finding her. In fact, I was wondering if I would ever get back myself. While Lieutenant Campos was beginning to believe that I was hopelessly lost, I had finally rolled clear of the powerful current which had pulled me miles from the launch. I still had seen no sign of Sherry Bishop. At last, I was able to surface. The only thing that I could see looked like a tiny island.
Oh, thank God you're alive. Come on. What's the matter?
I think it's broken.
Okay. First thing we do is put that in a splint. Shouldn't take too long.
Never learn, do you? Always have to do things all by yourself. She was pitifully weak, probably from exposure, hunger, and thirst. She had to have something to eat right away. There was only one place to get it, the ocean. So with a knife and a stick, I started to improvise a spear. I headed down with my improvised spear. I had to go fairly deep before I saw a fish. I wondered if I was getting groggy, because the current seemed to be pulling the fish and me to the south. And yet, Sherry's current had pulled me due north. The water was colder here, too. I pulled it off and dropped it in the current. I was right. It was a cold reverse current, below the warm one that had brought us to the island.
I don't know which helped more, the food or your finding that reverse current. I still can't believe it. Mike, how did you find me? I didn't see a plane or a bird or anything for 3 days. I thought I'd had it.
You darn near did.
Campos is waiting for us back there. We better get started. And the sooner, the better.
Take it easy now. Take it easy.
Mike, I'm ready to go, really.
No, you're not. What you need is some rest. Just got through eating. Got to digest it.
I've been resting for days.
Not really, I'll bet. What you need to do is relax completely. Why don't you try to sleep, huh? Come on. Put your head. Yeah, come on. Mind me. Put your feet out here. That's it. You sleep for a bit. You'll feel a lot better. Close your eyes.
All right. If you think I'll go to sleep...
Close your eyes. Come on, close them. Breathe deep. Breathe big. Real deep. Close your eyes. As soon as Sherry was asleep, I planned to ride the reverse current back to the launch. Then I'd come for Sherry. But by the time that I was ready to leave...
You've got to take me with you, please.
I just can't do it, Sherry.
But the current you found will take us right where we want to go. I know it will.
What if it doesn't? You're in no shape to take this trip. Look, I'll be back in no time with Campos and his launch, huh?
Mike, you can't leave me behind. You don't know what it's like being here all alone. Please, Mike.
It doesn't make sense with your broken arm and everything.
Please, Mike.
How much air have you got in your tank?
I had a full tank when I started.
And what about now? You must have used up a lot of air getting here. No, it's too risky, Sherry.
Mike, if you don't take me with you, I'll follow you. Please, Mike.
Okay, you win. I had agreed to take Sherry back to the launch, but getting her there alive was another question. We started down, looking for the current that I had found that might take us in the right direction. And between us, we might be able to stretch our air far enough. Only, I knew better. For now, though, I concentrated on finding that southbound current. The dye marker indicated it unmistakably. Sherry wasn't much help. She could hardly move, and she was in pain. We just had to let the current take us at its own speed. It moved along the bottom at a good rate and in the right direction. But the water was very cold, and that didn't help Sherry any. My big hope was that Campos and Fran had not given up and that they were waiting for us. At that moment, however, they were preparing to weigh anchor. Slowly, very slowly, the current started to move upward. And so did my hopes for Sherry. If only I could stretch our air supply further than it could normally go. Sherry ran out of air. We'd have to surface. If we did, the current would no longer carry us. We might even be carried northward, back to the island. I began sharing the air in my tanks with her. I knew that we'd have to go up any minute, and we might be miles from our destination. Suddenly, I saw the incredible, wonderful answer. I sighted the tow line of my float, still snagged inside the grotto. The launch would be directly overhead. It had to be. Against all odds, we had made it.
Mike, no!
What do you mean? What's the matter with you? Come here.
You can make it to shore without me. Go on, Mike, go on!
No. What do you mean, go on? I'm going to stay here till Campos comes back again for us.
He's not coming back. His nose is not coming back.
I know he is. Stop it. Turn over your back. Jerry, this isn't like you. Listen, no, it's not going to help to cry. Feel this way? Look! Here they come!
Oh, Mike, don't say that. Please.
No, I mean it. Look! Look! Watch out for her arm.
Oh, all right.
Oh, we found her. We found her alive.
But I was not looking for her, Senora. It was him, Senor Nelson. I thought now we would find his body.
Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is fun and adventure for young and old, but it can be dangerous. So know the sport well and don't take any chances. Be with you next week for another exciting sea hunt.
I was in tropical waters off the coast of a small Latin American country, minding what I thought was my own business. This was purely a pleasure dive, and I was having fun poking through an interesting wreck. It was one that I hadn't seen before. Suddenly, it looked as though it might be the last wreck that I would ever see. I thought I had the situation under control, but when I got to the surface with my attacker, I found that my troubles were only beginning.
Come aboard! Come on!
A few hours later, I was in a cell in the capital city. All of my explanations, all my protests, didn't do me a bit of good, because a revolution had broken out, and I was suspected of being in the service of the newly ousted dictator.
Senor Nelson?
Yeah?
Permit me to introduce myself. I am Ramon Montoya, minister of the new government. My colleague here you have already met, Carlos Prado.
Yeah, I met him.
Senor, we have come here to apologize to you for the inconvenience you have suffered.
Well, that's okay, if I can go now.
You have been a victim of mistaken identity. I hope you will understand that when a dictator is overthrown, things are not very normal.
I understand that.
Senor, we would be most happy if you would wait for a few minutes. We would like to have a little talk with you.
You mean you want to talk to me here?
It is the quietest place in the city at the moment.
Okay. What do we talk about?
About you, Senor Nelson. And about liberty and freedom and democracy. Ideas that have been won most dearly here in the past few days. Now that we have verified your identity, we wish you to help us in our struggle.
Oh, why me?
Because of your reputation, both personally and professionally. Senor Nelson, we need your help in a project of great secrecy, but of vital importance to our success. Such a big secret, I cannot even tell you now.
If I don't know what it's all about, how can you expect an answer from me?
I don't. Not yet. I merely want to suggest that if you are sympathetic with our cause and are willing to listen to more, you permit us to make a show of force with you for the benefit of the enemy, to take him off the track.
Like what?
Like going through the motion of closing that door behind you again, of publicly deporting you from our country as an enemy of our government to, say, a place like Nassau, where you will make a rendezvous with one of our agents and there await the development of our plan.
Well, that sounds like real cloak and dagger stuff.
Call it that if you wish, but it will be explained to you at the right time. Then you can make your decision, yes or no.
And what if I say no now? What happens to me?
The cell door is unlocked. You can walk directly out.
You've aroused my curiosity. Lock the door again.
Thank you, Senor Nelson. Thank you. We will justify your belief.
I'm sure you will.
Thank you, senor.
It was only a few days later. After being publicly deported, I sailed to Nassau. The next step in the weird plan was to check into the Nassau Beach Lodge. I was supposed to wait there until I got a message with the code word swordfish in it. Till that came, I was on my own. It started out as a pleasant interlude. I sunned myself and made friends with some of the other guests at the hotel. No one could have taken me for anything but a tourist. But after a few days, I found myself impatient. I hadn't had any word from my mysterious contact, let alone the one word that I was waiting for. Then I got a telephone call. Hello?
Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, this is Mike Nelson.
I have the report for you on the fishing conditions.
Go ahead.
The swordfish are leaping in the harbor.
Good. I headed for historic old Fort Montague, where I could get a good look at the harbor. One of the boats in the harbor was flying a pennant, and on the pennant was a swordfish. I realized who my contact was when I spotted a familiar face. It was Prado, who had arrested me the week before. But now he was out of uniform. I was more intrigued than ever. I knew that I was wanted aboard. I approached the boat from underwater. It reduced to a minimum the chances of being observed. In the boat's cabin, I learned what it was all about.
All this secrecy may seem foolish to you, but now I can explain and you can judge.
I'm listening.
As you must know, the dictator fled when we moved in on the city. But he took the precaution 2 days before to load most of the money in the National Treasury on a vessel which sailed for Florida.
Smart guy.
He was no fool, but you have not heard it all. Knowing that under international law, the United States government would impound the vessel and return the money to the legal government of our country, he scuttled the vessel not far off our coast. Money and all.
Well, what good would the money do him on the bottom of the ocean?
For the moment, none. But once it becomes known to the world that our treasury is bankrupt, then our stability is threatened. And the road is wide open for the tyrant to march back into power.
Then he salvages the money and the show starts all over again, huh?
Correct.
Well, why don't you salvage the money?
Well, that is
Yeah, I see. That's where I come in, huh?
where you come in.
Well, you got your own divers. I met one of them.
We have divers, good ones. But we also, I regret to say, have spies, traitors, and subversives in our ranks. Men who, for personal gain, would welcome back a dictator. That is why we come to you.
I see.
You will do it, Senor Nelson? The pay will be good. But the cause will be better.
Senor Prado, you got yourself another diver.
Thank you, senor.
Prado and I left the Bahamas far behind and moved toward our objective by a very casual, indirect route. And then we wandered into Rafael Bay, where the ship had been scuttled. The bay and the shoreline appeared to be completely deserted.
Hey, Carlos, let me see that chart.
I worked over charts of the bay, concentrating mainly on the depth levels. In that way, I estimated the logical place at which a ship would be scuttled without being too deep to be easily reached. On my first dive, I hit it practically on the nose. There was a ship down there, all right. I went in to investigate. I knew that I'd have to proceed with my guard up every second. There was no way of telling what might be waiting inside. And there it was, what looked like the missing gold reserves, the lifeblood of the country's economy.
Senor Prado! The ship's down there.
Good!
Yeah. And the gold seems to be intact.
Good! Now we can begin ever so quietly to bring up the money.
Not such a quiet job after all.
No.
You stay here. I'll take a look. Now, we better get out of here.
And give up the salvage?
You wouldn't like that, huh?
No.
Well, we're a pair of sitting ducks right now. We gotta move out of this spot.
And not come back?
I'll come back. But underwater.
At the end of about 2 hours, we decided that it was safe to get back aboard our boat. And we were right. The riflemen on the shore had given up, convinced that they had either killed us or scared us off. Not to disillusion them on the latter point, we wasted no time getting out of there. We anchored some distance away out of range of fire from the shore, and I prepared to swim back to the scuttled ship.
You cruise slowly by in about 45 minutes, huh? Looks like they're gonna shoot at you. Keep moving.
It didn't take me long to reach the ship again. I headed straight for the treasure cabin. But something struck me as peculiar. It seemed to me that I had left the cabin door open. Now it was closed. I looked it over carefully. There was a wire, barely visible, and just below it, a booby-trapped grenade. A bomb that could have destroyed me in another moment. Now I realized the shooting up above was not an isolated incident. Someone was playing for keeps. Thanks to my Navy frogman experience, booby traps were no puzzle to me. I found a splinter of steel and deactivated the grenade with it. I looked inside, but nothing had been touched in the cabin. I rigged the tripwire so that no one else would know the bomb was disarmed. Then I got out of there, fast. Whoever set that booby trap couldn't be very far away. I decided to wait for him. I found what seemed like a very good vantage point, well hidden in rocks and giving me an excellent view of anyone who might approach the ship from any direction. Unfortunately, the men for whom I was watching had seen me first. While I was keeping my eyes on the ship, they were already closing in on me from an angle that would completely cut me off from my own boat. One of them got around front to distract me. The other hit from behind. I broke away and raced for the treasure ship. There was a chance for me there, if I could get far enough in front. I sprinted for the booby-trap doorway. Not knowing that I had disarmed the booby trap, they could only assume that I would blow us all to kingdom come. They preferred discretion to valor. now they knew that I knew about their booby trap. What they expected next, I didn't know. But I was sure that after a certain amount of time, they'd come back to look for me if they didn't see me leave the ship. I had a plan. The two men conferred at a safe distance from the ship. Then the leader sent his buddy back. I heard him coming. I got set for him. I pinched off his air. To breathe at all, he had to give up. The knife against his ribs gave me full command. With the first man as a shield, I moved back out toward the deck. I knew the second man would be out there waiting, and I knew what to do. I disabled the first man's air supply. Then the second man was on top of me. He was a dangerous antagonist, skilled with a knife. The knife point was against his stomach. It was over.
¡Muñoz! Con que tú eres el traidor. Sinvergüenza.
¿Qué quieres? ¿Que te pida perdón?
No, no me necesitas de pedir perdón. Mi gente te va a perdonar. Ahora verás, sinvergüenza. Tú vas a pagar con tu vida.
You know him, huh?
Both of them. Senor Nelson, let me introduce to you Colonel Emilio Merida, former head of counterintelligence for the dictator. And for us, a real prize. But this one we trusted. A man we never suspected, but who can now explain this entire plan to us.
That's great.
With this information, I'm sure we can continue the salvage on a full scale, out in the open.
Looks like I worked myself out of a job.
Out of a job, senor, but into the hearts of my countrymen.
All right, you let me take this stuff off you. You still want to fight, huh? Guess you had enough down there. Hi, I'm Lloyd Bridges, inviting you to join us for another action-packed story of underwater adventure 1 week from today.
Sunken treasure has from time immemorial fired the imaginations of men. But sunken treasure takes many forms. It may be the lost artifacts of a drowned city. It may be a classical sculpture lost with an ancient galley that went down 1,000 years ago off the Isles of Greece. Or it may take an entirely new form. Strategic minerals, newly discovered on the ocean bottom, which open up a whole new source of raw materials to the world. Divers have risked their lives for the treasure represented by such mundane growths as sponges. But mostly they have sought the will-o'-the-wisp of sunken gold and sunken ships. I don't often get involved in treasure hunts myself, but I have done it from time to time. More than once, though, I have had to rescue other divers from their folly. And I've seen men fight for their lives over a bag of gold dust. As I say, I generally keep my distance from sunken treasure. This time was an exception, however. So here I was, fighting a current of unbelievable violence, with the wreckage of an ancient Spanish galleon in sight below me on the bottom. And a dawning realization that I might never reach it, or for that matter, ever reach the safety of the surface above me either. This particular treasure hunt had started in the Bahamas, near Nassau to be exact. I'd had a day to see the sights in this fabulous town, and then I had gone to work. Now, several weeks later, I was being brutally beaten by the currents in an underwater ravine. My objective was the remains of the Claridad, flagship of Admiral Esquivel, one of the island's ancient Spanish governors. His galleon had sunk in this funnel-shaped basin 3 centuries ago, sucked down in a whirlpool which had balked all attempts at salvage. I was trying to get into the basin the new way, along this trench. But the risk was proving too great for what was in it, for me and for Dr. Ruiz, who had hired me, because we weren't after any conventional treasure. Dr. Ruiz was the director of a museum in Spain. We were just trying to salvage a box of historical records. The current slacked off just then, though. Time for one last pass at getting through. I made it. Davy Jones must have figured 3 centuries was long enough to hold on to one Spanish galleon. Or maybe he just wanted me to think so. 10 seconds later, I was fighting for my life. And losing. A skin diver is almost helpless in cross currents of this intensity. He's totally helpless if he yields to panic. I darn near did. In time, however, I fought down the panic. Then I was able to fight my way up.
That finishes me.
Mike, you're not quitting, surely.
I've had it.
For this day, you mean?
Oh, that's the closest I ever want to come to drowning. Oh, that basin. It was boiling down.
You reached the basin?
Yeah, close as I want to get to it.
Well, it will make it simple to get to the box.
You weren't listening. It isn't simple. Not if you want to stay alive, and I do.
Mike, to come within sight of the box and then abandon it? Never. I cannot countenance such a thing.
Well, I'm checking out, Dr. Ruiz.
You know what the box means to me and to my museum. Why, those papers may represent one of the greatest discoveries of Spanish history.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
Well, continue your work. I will pay you 3 times what we agreed.
Money won't make it safe. You need special equipment.
Of what kind? Tell me. It will be provided.
Oh, just like that, huh?
I will not ask you to go back to work until you have all the equipment you think is necessary. Now, come, Bill. We can talk about it. Now, where is the chief difficulty? Here in the ravine or here in the basin?
Well, there's not much of a choice. One's about as bad as the other. I've been trying to get through that channel for 5 days.
But today you succeeded.
Yeah, finally. It'll probably take me another 5 to do it again. If I was lucky enough to get through, those cross currents would probably get me before I got that box.
Unless you had special equipment. What kind?
Well, I don't know if it'll work or not, but...
Well, tell me. What is it?
Or some kind of a harpoon gun that's strong enough to shoot a line down the bottom.
A harpoon gun. All right. Tomorrow you shall have it.
I don't know how, but next morning, Dr. Ruiz had the gun that I'd asked for, loaded and ready to fire, down between the walls of the ravine into the basin. Its warhead was a grapnel, attached to 300 yards of lightweight, unbreakable lifeline. Our hope was that the grapnel would anchor itself in the floor of the basin, reasonably near the wreck of the Claridad.
The grapnel holding?
Seems to be. I won't know for sure till I'm downstairs hanging on to it. Yeah, tie this off, huh?
Secure the line quickly.
Gracias.
Por nada. Vaya con Dios.
For the first time in 5 days, the odds against me looked even. Then I hit that man-killing current again. I mean, it hit me. So hard that only my grip on the line kept it from battering my brains out against the rocks. But my big worry was the grapnel. How was it doing under this strain? The grapnel held, even when I made it all the way into the basin. Where the cross currents played crack the whip with me till my arms nearly gave out. It was a relief to let go, finally, directly above the grapnel. Everything went according to plan now, for a while. I found the box. It seemed the wrong shape for holding historical papers, but that was Dr. Ruiz's problem. Mine was getting it back upstairs, and myself with it. It was the wrong shape, all right, for holding papers. From its weight, it had to be solid gold. And from its beauty, it had to be the work of a genius. Cellini, perhaps. Dr. Ruiz would flip when I reported this find. Or would he? Was it possible that he had known about it all along? That the story about the papers was just a cover-up? But why? I didn't know, but before I delivered it to Dr. Ruiz, I was sure going to find out.
What luck? Did you reach the bottom?
Uh-huh.
In the box of papers, Mike. Oh, what about the box? Did you find it?
No. I didn't find any box of papers.
Oh? Did you find something else?
Oh. Just an old vase of some kind.
Vase? Why didn't you bring it up?
That's not what you sent me for.
But for the museum. Any such curiosity would be of interest.
Well, you wouldn't want me to risk my life for an old vase, would you?
It may be a very rare piece that the museum would treasure. You will bring it up the next time. This afternoon, perhaps.
I better not tackle that till tomorrow. I've had enough of those cross currents for today, even with that safety line.
Perhaps if you took a rest in your cabin for 1 hour or two.
Thanks just the same, Captain, but as long as I'm not diving anymore today, I'd just soon go ashore. Can Ramon take me in?
Yes, very well.
Won't take me long to change.
He has found it.
Well, then he'll find it again tomorrow. How else can he claim a share?
No, perhaps he has another reason for going to shore now. Ramon,
See, Captain.
take the American ashore. And yourself also. I want you to follow him. See where he goes, to whom he talks, eh? Into the dark. We shall know the worst by morning.
It will not be the worst for us.
Ramon brought me ashore very quickly. There was a welcoming committee to meet me. A crowd of native divers. I had to toss a few coins in the water for them before I could be on my way. I knew where I wanted to go, but I didn't know how to get there until I found a native policeman to give me directions. He knew, of course, because what I was looking for was police headquarters. It was a good thing I volunteered for underwater demolition during the war. I'd have bombed as a spy catcher. I never once thought to look behind me, the whole way from the harbor. It took me 4 minutes, no more, to line out my story to Detective Inspector Rigby and his official junior, Sergeant Sloan. They nodded politely at all the right places, but it suddenly started to feel very cool for Nassau this time of year.
Oh, that's it then, Mr. Nelson.
That's it.
In effect, you charge Dr. Ruiz and Captain, what's his name?
Oh, Ibarra, I believe, sir.
Oh, yes, thank you, Ted, yeah. With allegedly conspiring to defraud the Crown of the worth, in whole or part, of an item of alleged sunken treasure found by you aboard the Spanish galleon Claridad and subsequently hidden by you in or near its wreckage.
Yeah, that's right.
Why, Mr. Nelson?
Why what?
Why didn't you turn it over to your employer?
Because my employer hired me to salvage a box that allegedly contained valuable papers, not a vase.
Well, he may be quite disappointed if it doesn't.
When it contained a priceless work of art, I doubt it.
Well, he's the director of a historical museum, you know. Not a gallery.
We checked him out, Mr. Nelson, days ago.
You did?
Yes, I'm quite certain whatever it is you found, he'll bring to Government House for appraisal directly you fetch it up.
Well, I've been wrong before, that's for sure. I could be wrong this time, too.
You won't know till you put Dr. Ruiz to the test, will you? Do it. I'm sure he'll pass with flying colors.
Well, thanks for your time, gentlemen.
Do let us know how you make out, won't you?
Yes, Mr. Nelson?
Never mind. Ramon was back at the dock when I returned there. There was no way of knowing that he had arrived there 5 seconds ahead of me. We shoved off for Dr. Ruiz's boat. Having agreed now to follow through with Dr. Ruiz, I was in a hurry to get on with the job.
See you later.
Everything seemed to be going for me this trip. Even the riptide through the ravine into the basin. The cross currents hit me again there, but not hard enough to break my hold on the line until I wanted to let go.
Splendid, Mike, splendid. Huh? It's beautiful, huh? Magnifico. Magnifico.
Yeah, you're not disappointed, huh? I mean, how about the papers?
No, senor. Not disappointed.
What are you going to do with it now? You're going to have to take it to the government house, aren't you?
Oh, is that what the police told you to do, my friend?
Well, they didn't have to tell me that. Isn't that what you plan to do with it?
No, senor. We've made other arrangements to dispose of your find.
And to dispose of you, too, my friend.
Oh. Well, you might end up in the government house after all. Since when do you plan to dispose of me?
When we are so far out to sea that even you cannot swim ashore.
Senor Nelson, you will go below, please.
Por favor. Gracias.
Por nada.
Move.
Stop. Inside.
Dr. Rigby.
They were pulling out all right, according to plan. And if I didn't want to be disposed of the same way, I had to make my break now. Only I couldn't. There was no way out. There was nothing that I could do until Ramon came back and tried to force me overboard. Just 10 minutes later, though, the engines cut out and the cruiser slowed to a halt. At first, I thought the time had come for them to finish me off. And then I realized that another boat had pulled alongside. I didn't know what to make of it, but I grabbed the best weapon that I could find.
Welcome aboard, senores. Great honor.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Reese. We've a question or two to ask your diver, Mike Nelson.
Yes, well, Nelson resigned his services yesterday.
Oh, did he? Well, Sergeant Sloan here saw him leaving for your yacht with your man.
Well, just to pick up his gear.
Oh, he's gone ashore then.
I think we can presume so.
Yes, I'm afraid we can't. Oh, Ted, take a look round below me.
Very well, sir.
But you have no authority.
Oh, we have a warrant, all right.
Warrant? What on earth? On what charge?
Conspiracy to smuggle crown treasure out of the country. Tell you the truth, we have no evidence as yet, but perhaps Nelson will help us out there.
And perhaps not.
¡Echa la copa al agua!
Nelson, are you in there?
Yeah, who are you?
Sloan, we met in Inspector Rigby's office. Stand back, won't you? These things open inward.
Thanks.
What are you doing, old man?
Going to take a dip, old boy.
Oh.
My memory told me that there was a reef in these waters about 40 feet down. A reef surrounded on all sides by great depths. If the cup landed on the reef, I still had a chance to retrieve it. But if it missed, or if currents pushed it off, I was wasting my time. There it was, bubbling cheerfully to mark its position for me.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Yes.
Look.
Oh, yes.
There's proof enough!
Oh, yes, quite. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Bridges, inviting you to join us for another action-packed story of underwater adventure 1 week from today.